Nutting was out on the field yesterday at PNC Park, greeting members of the Roberto Clemente family, as he always does on Clemente Day. He was seen, but has been universally the case for all of the way upper people in management, hasn't been heard. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Pirates 4, Royals 3, avoiding a sweep by a contending Kansas City team. A lot of tightrope walking in the game. Royals went 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position, left guys all over the base paths, but that's also to the credit, in particular, of the relief pitchers who followed Jared Jones after he lasted only 4 innings. And amid all that, it remains to be seen. And you know what? It also kind of remains to be heard if management, specifically Ben Cherington, had any business at all declaring in the past week that Derek Shelton would be back, because he really wouldn't be in much of a position to declare anything if he's not going to be back, meaning if he gets fired, and of course they both get fired. Let's remember that in 2019, everybody was giving all kinds of assurances to Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington and everything else, and then one day they were all gone because the only voice that mattered had yet to be heard. The same applies here, only in this case, there are 2 voices. One of them is, of course, Nutting's. If he's done a baseball-based interview in months, I'm unaware of it. He is available. He's around. He's visible. He's amicable. He'll talk to reporters, face cameras and microphones when it comes to some of the charitable events the Pirates have. But the reporters are advised in advance that he's not going to be taking baseball questions, and that's recognized. I mean, you can still ask. You're just going to get, hey, we talked about this. It's just going to be about, the Miracle League field or something in that spirit. Travis Williams is the other individual in this scenario. And the reason that I say that's different than 2019 is that Williams, even though he holds essentially the same title, corporate title, as Cherington does, Cherington answers to Williams. That's the way that was set up. It was set up like that on purpose. They run separate sides of the business, but Cherington answers to Williams. Similarly, when Williams was at a charity event this weekend, we sent a reporter from DK Pittsburgh Sports there, and immediately we're told that he's going to be available, but he's only going to talk about the event at hand. He's not going to talk about baseball. And I'm not complaining about it. That's not, they can do what they want with that sort of thing. I say this all the time, but they're not subjects at Guantanamo Bay. We can't make them talk. There's a professional relationship there, and we can ask, they can answer, or they can not answer. But you know what? I got to share with you here. I'm kind of okay with them not answering right about now. I don't want to hear anything they have to say other than, you know what? That's not to be mean-spirited. That's not to wish unemployment upon anyone or anything like that. We're talking about the well-being of the baseball club. That's what we talk about on here, most of the time. And I can't conceivably have made my position more clear that the well-being of the baseball club could be dramatically upgraded by replacing pretty much everyone. But in particular, the man leading the front office as it relates to baseball ops, and the man leading the field level, that of course being Shelton. And, putting on my tinfoil hat here, such as it is, and just sharing this out loud as opposed to thinking about it on my flight to Denver here for football over the weekend. I'll be back in Pittsburgh later today. If I'm either Nutting or Williams, and my GM, Charrington, goes public in meeting with reporters and puts forth something that he did not have to put forth, that being his stated view that, quote, I fully expect, end quote, Shelton will be back in 2025. And I thought there was any doubt anywhere among, the fan base, the media, whoever, that this GM had the ability to make that call, had gotten the okay to make that call and to make it publicly. I'd have gone out of my way to say something, to find a way to back him up. My friends, it doesn't even need to be direct, not to show you how all of the sausage is made, but I'll just say this much. If the Pirates' way higher ups wanted to send the message, even if it was just to me to relay to you, they know where to find me. And they've done it in the past. Heck, they've done it in the very recent past. And I haven't heard from them either. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Jerome Johnston, and it's a doozy and a half. You guys might want to sit down for this one. Jerome says, Dejan, I was told by a friend who works for the Pirates scouting staff how laughable the front office setup is. He said that 3 of Ben Charrington's 4 assistant GMs oversee the scouting and player development departments, those being Steve Sanders, player development, Kevin Graves, amateur and international scouting, Brian Stroh, pro scouting. He went on to say that none of those assistant GMs has ever worked in actual scouting and or player development. How is this even possible if true? Jerome, before I actually answer this, and I put a little bit of work into it, I want to take a little bit of a fall here, if I can, because what happens when you're too close to something, in this case, just covering it closely, you might miss the forest for some of the trees. So while I know of these faces, I know of these names, I'll occasionally even lay eyes on them, especially Stroh since he travels with the team. I gotta admit, it never really occurred to me that they might not have actual experience in scouting. Now, when people talk about scouting, but again, I promise I'll get to your answer. But when people talk about scouting, it's different than when scouts talk about scouting. Scouting isn't to them, to the actual scouts. It's not just a matter of let me find out all the information I can about this player and analyze him and see what, comes through, whether it's data or video study or whatever. Scouting means sitting behind home plate and scouting and knowing what you're watching and learning it and studying it, finding the flaws, finding the strengths, finding things that might not even have to do with baseball that could affect the player's performance or personality or character. In every organization now, it's been augmented with all kinds of advanced analytics. I have zero issue with that, and if your Pirates were operating without advanced analytics, that's what I'd be ripping them for every single day. I can promise you that. However, there remains a real value in the knowledge that's acquired through scouting. So sure, I opened up the media guide. This didn't involve anything all that advanced. The Pirates put out an annual media guide, and the one for 2024 lists all of the gentlemen that you cite I'm not about to bore everyone to tears by reading all three of these entries for Sanders, Graves, and Stroh, but your buddy was onto something. He wasn't dead on, but it's mostly because two of the three, everybody but Stroh, has done supervising of scouting and thus has been in some home plate setting here or there, or they can be assigned to go cross-check something or double-check something before a big check is signed. The backgrounds for all three are a little bit different, but they also have commonalities. They have legal practice, business practice, management practice, administration practice. So I'll have to presume here that the way Charrington runs this is he'd rather have people running departments who know how to run departments regardless of what those departments are about. That's not defending him. It's still dumb. It's still counterintuitive to everything that sports are about. But that's also what I've been describing for you for quite a while now as it relates to all of these people. They're not sports people. They're not competitive people. They're about the process, the administration, the discipline. While other teams have those same positions populated by real live baseball people. Crazy, right? I appreciate the question more than you might know. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. And yes, of course, we will have another one tomorrow.